Welcome to Talent Port and our special series, How Western Union Works. I'm your host, Mary Caracoli. Today's guest is Ranjana Clark, President of Global Business Payments and Executive Vice President, Global Strategies. Thank you so much for being here today.
I'm delighted to be here.
So many people think of Western Union and they think money transfer. Of course, global payments is a really important part of our business, isn't it?
It is.
Explain how it works.
Well, we are in the business of facilitating business payments. So that's the primary difference. I would underscore business. So we have a business at either one or both ends of a transaction. In our bill payment business, it's typically consumer to business. A consumer, you or I, are paying one of our bills, but we are paying it to a business. In our custom house, business to business, cross-border solutions, we have businesses at both ends of the transaction.
So interesting when we look at it then from maybe a commercial perspective versus the products and services we already offer customers and our consumers. What is the big difference?
Well, I think in our money transfer or remittance business, it is one consumer sending money, typically cross-border or domestically, to another consumer. In this particular instance, it is either a consumer sending money for payment of bills, typically, to a business, or it is one business sending money cross-border to another business for a trade transaction, typically for an import transaction.
So tell me about some of your products.
Well, let's look at it on the bill payment side first. And let's break it up into our main cash products or walk-in products and our electronic products. Some names that people hear frequently on the cash side, our flagship product there is called Quick Collect. There's another product called Convenience Pay. On the electronic side, there are two main product sets that people frequently hear about, one of which is called Speed Pay, and the second, which is aimed at the mortgage space, is called Equity Accelerator.
So it sounds like this really does fit into the strategy of Western Union.
It does. I think it very importantly diversifies our business mix. Certainly, the money transfer or remittance business has been a very good business for us. It continues to grow along with the globalization of labor. The bill payment business has different dynamics, certainly a different client base, so that's another source of diversification. And then importantly, with the acquisition, the recent acquisition of Custom House, we entered yet another business and diversified into yet another customer base, and this particular business leverages the growth trend in globalization of trade.
Yeah, it sounds very exciting. Like
It
a very
is.
exciting
It
time
is.
right now.
It is.
Yeah. And when I think about, for a business who says, do I do business with Western Union or not? What are some of the reasons you would tell a business, yes, we're a good partner for you?
Great question. I think that we are a great partner for businesses because of two things. One, we provide distinctive competencies, and second, we provide great customer service. So on the bill payment side, the kinds of competencies that Western Union provides in a complete solution set where a company is able to collect on their bills or their receivables from a consumer, we offer same-day payment capabilities, also known as expedited payment capabilities, to a very vast number of billers, about 4,000 in the US and about 2,000 in Argentina. So 6,000 biller directory is a very, very strong capability. On the Custom House side, which is our cross-border B2B trade payables business, we provide a great product, reliable, at the right price, with great service.
So it sounds like an easy sell.
I think so.
When we think about why consumers would want to use the payment services to pay their bills, what would you tell the consumer?
Well, I think that what we offer consumers is convenience, choice, and control. I think you and I as consumers have very specific needs at very specific times, and we also like to fulfill our needs in the most convenient way. So some of us like to pay our bills in cash. So we walk into a grocery store where there is a Western Union counter and we can pay a number of bills in cash. Some of us forget to pay our bills till the last minute, or may have special circumstances that cause us to pay bills at the last minute. Western Union is one of very few companies that provide very, very robust, what we call expedited or emergency bill payment services to companies. So I think from a consumer standpoint, it really does provide me convenience, choice, and control.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. And so when I think about what type of bills I might want to pay, what type of bills could I pay?
It certainly depends on you and your habits. More and more consumers are now preferring to pay their bills through some sort of consolidator or aggregator, typically their bank website, right? Even in the case of a bank website, for example, Wells Fargo, the same day or expedited payment option is provided by Western Union.
All right, so when I think about the bills I could pay, things like my mortgage, maybe even my utilities, right? So the everyday things that are the important part of our life, that it can be a real convenience for consumers.
Yeah, you can pay your mortgage, your credit card, your automobile bills. You can pay many of your utility bills, insurance.
So when we think about, you mentioned Custom House. How does the acquisition of Custom House fit into the overall business strategy?
I think what Custom House does is probably 2 or 3 main things for Western Union. One, very importantly, it helps us diversify our client base. Western Union's primary client base is either consumer to consumer or consumer to business. As we said, there's the money transfer business, which is primarily consumer to consumer, the bill payment business, which is consumer to business. What Custom House does is help us enter a third and whole new segment, which is the business to business segment, typically targeting what we call enterprises, small and medium-sized corporations, universities, hospitals, etc. So it's a new customer base and it's new capabilities. Custom House primarily transacts account to account. So I think what it does is really complement our very strong capabilities on the cash to cash side.
I also understand that Western Union will be teaming with some banks for online bill pay, right?
Yes.
How does that work, and why would a bank want to team with us?
Well, I gave the example of Wells Fargo. So as an example, today we are the same-day payment button on Wells Fargo's site. We have other clients or potential clients like Wells Fargo in our pipeline. Why they would want to partner with us is because simply we are the best in the business. We provide access to the most number of billers than any of our competitors today.
And they don't really have the same capabilities we have, do they?
I think most banks today are in the business of providing a pay anyone capability. So if you go to your bank's website, you can just about pay anybody, either a business or send a check to your mother, potentially. However, very few banks can really make that payment on a same-day basis through their bill payment service. So using Western Union, banks are now able to provide a same-day or expedited payment capability.
And we know how that is so important to people when you got to get it there, right?
Exactly.
It's important.
Exactly.
Time matters.
Time matters.
So when we think about the global payment services, it does generate important revenue for the company. Can you shed some light on that?
Sure. In 2008, global payment services provided a little over $805 million in top-line revenues and $225 million in profit contribution for Western Union.
Nice numbers.
Very nice.
And as you look forward, that crystal ball that we always like to talk about, what is it that you see as part of the future? What are some of the things you're planning for down the road?
Well, we want to see growth. And so I think we see it on a number of dimensions. We see it within the United States, which is where a good portion of our business is concentrated today. And we also see it by growing into additional overseas markets. We see it in our bill payment business. We also see it in our cross-border foreign exchange trade payables business. I think the strategies that we have to pursue in order to grow those two different businesses are very different, and they're very different by geography. And a lot of it is dependent upon the evolving needs of our consumers and our clients. So in the United States, electronic, a lot of consumers are moving in terms of from paying their bills either by cash or check, which is paper, to electronic. We do have robust electronic capabilities. We have to evolve them to the next level. We today target certain industries and have certain bill of concentrations. We have to diversify that. We can use our capabilities to tap into new industries and new specialized verticals. Overseas, I think that with the bill payment business, we want to be sure that we are targeting markets where there are opportunities and where our bill payment services can complement the core money transfer services. Because I think together with money transfer, bill payment actually provides a very strong value proposition to our consumer clients as well as our agents. In our cross-border foreign exchange business, we have many untapped geographies that we can go into, and even within the existing geographies, now with the additional strength that Western Union brings in terms of brand, in terms of geographic presence, and in terms of financial strength, we think we have lots of additional opportunities for business, even within the 7 markets that Custom House is currently in.
So much to look forward to.
A lot of good opportunities ahead of us.
The other part of your job, of course, is risk management. What are some of the challenges out there that you're thinking about right now?
Well, I think from a risk management perspective, certainly in our cross-border business, in our foreign exchange business, we have to be very sure that we are taking on the right level of risk for the right level of return. From a bill payment perspective, obviously there are consumers who are depositing money with our agents. We then have to transmit that money to the company, and so along with the money transfer side, we have to be sure that we are very thoroughly vetting our agents to be sure that the money that our consumers provide us is in fact transmitted to our clients.
The other role you play, of course, is global strategy. Explain what you do there.
Well, I think that every smart company needs to continually reevaluate their strategy in terms of staying very well informed of the external realities of how the markets are evolving and how our customer needs and client needs are evolving, and bumping those up against our own evolving capabilities. What you have at the end of the day are 2 buckets of opportunities and issues, and those evolve over time. So the job of a pretty small team that we have in corporate strategy is to be continually looking at the evolving landscape and working very closely with our different businesses to help them craft forward-leaning strategies.
And the interesting thing is that evolution can be very fast in some cases, in other cases much slower. Mm-hmm. So the timeline can be all over the place.
Yeah, in fact, slower evolution, while it sounds more comfortable, is actually much more insidious, because as companies we get very comfortable, we get used to it, and big trends are not quickly apparent when it happens slowly over time. So frequently companies, and particularly companies that have been very successful, can be slow to react to big, broad trends that happen over time. And we want to be sure that along with our businesses, we are continually, firstly, staying informed of those big trends and shifts, and secondly, really crafting proactive strategies to tap into those opportunities or be sure that we're not getting blindsided by some big issues.
It sounds like a state of constantly monitoring, because it's hard to know in the beginning which is a short-term trend and which is going to be the real deal.
Exactly. So you're continually looking at competitors, maybe trying different things, maybe doing small pilots in different markets to see and test how consumers might react to a new value proposition or how your products might stack up relative to competition.
Thank you so much for sharing your insights today.
I was delighted to be here.
And thank you for watching How Western Union Works on Talentport.